Okay, we just mixed up a 3-gallon kit of 4850. 3 gallons. 2 gallons of A, 1 gallon of B. We mixed it and poured it in 2 different 5-gallon containers. Now one guy is mini rolling this sidewall. Other guy is mini rolling this sidewall first. When it drips down, you're going to level out the floor so there's no puddles. After that midi roll in the back, one person will pour the polyaspartic in gray here, and then use an 18 to roll it out. He'll also work himself down here. 2 pours, 1 pour here, 1 pour here. He'll use the 18-inch roller like it was a squeegee. And the other guy will cut in the edges with the mini roller. Since the sheetrock is going all the way down to the floor, you don't want to hit the sheetrock with the mini roller or the 18, so we taped it. Now, it's not really necessary over here because the sheetrock doesn't go down, and you can control it with the 18, with the mini. So, Erman's already done with this side over here. While Tay is still working on this one, so Erman is going to go ahead and start cutting it up here. He's using a brush, and he's using a mini. Now you don't really have to waste time on this front lip. You want to do this first, because when he does the pour with the 18, it's going to overflow anyway. And then you're going to have to use the mini to get rid of those pour marks that look like this and this. So it's a waste of time to do it this front sidewall right now. So wait until you pour. Armin's getting underneath that sheetrock with the brush because the mini can't get under there. You must always paint under here like he's doing, otherwise you're going to see some concrete that's white and not covered. While he's at it, looks like Erman. I'll tell you what, don't do this side here, go ahead and do this first. Because it's going to drip down and you have to do that again anyway. Erman is getting underneath there with the brush. Now there's probably going to be some touch-ups here. This brush work under here is going to probably dry before we get to it with the chips. So see how he's pouring it out. Let me get that bucket for you. He's got some up there, some down here. He's going to soak his 18 into the coating first.
Pour a little bit more.
Yeah. So Erman said to hold off. If Erman needs more, he'll let him know. You see how he's not pushing puddles under the wall. You don't want to take that 18 and push a puddle. He's doing a good job. You don't want to push that puddle underneath the wall because you can actually get coating in the customer's house. Now the edges are still kind of dry, but you can see tape jumping up there now that he's done. And he's going to do these edges. Now he's treating this. He's treating this as if it's almost using 18 like it was a squeegee. He's got a puddle in front of him. You always want to keep a puddle in front of you. You don't want to dry out that roller. If you don't have a puddle in front of you, you should not be pushing any further, because then you're just going to start sucking coating out of the roller, and it's not going to be consistent. If all the floor has is flooded, if it's all flooded, then it's consistent. It's going to all go down deep, penetrate, good anchor. When you start rolling, stretching out, without having a puddle in front of you, it's having to suck coating out of the roller, and it's not getting as much as it could have been. So you got some right there, it's sucking it up, some dry spots. So I'm sure Ermin's going to go back on that later and pour a little bit more up there. We got another, looks like a gallon of coating in there. That's more than enough, because he just poured a lot here. We always mix up more than we need. I don't like stretching. I'd rather waste. I'd rather have a sacrifice of a little bit of loss of product, because that guarantees the customer is not going to have it stretched out. When you start stretching it, it's not as thick, and then it's not going to hold as many chips because the coating goes down. And it's not as thick as it was everywhere else. So I'm going to get this mini out of the way. One thing that's going to occur later is someone's going to take this mini and pull the puddles away from the sidewalls. You don't want polyaspartic puddling. And it's lower here and lower here, because the garage is arched, so the water or the polyaspartic goes to the sides naturally and then runs out if it gets flooded in here, which is why you need to pull these puddles away from the sidewalls. That's what the guy with the mini is going to do before we chip, because if it's puddled, then it causes major problems. It doesn't dry right. So Ermin's doing his cross rolling. So he did a squeegee first, and when he got here, he started cross rolling, and that's basically just pushing it down deeper into it, and it's getting some of these dry marks that occur naturally because it's soaking into the concrete. Really porous concrete, really rough concrete. We got some pitting and stuff that you see here, but I'm pretty sure with this heavy flood of coating that and the excessive chips, you're not going to really see that. Now, normally what we're doing is someone's throwing chips as he's going, and he leaves like maybe one or two of these sections that are unchipped between him and the chip thrower. So typically now, this is a really porous slab. So what we're doing is just flooding it, and he's going to go back and backfill, pour a little bit more in these dry areas. But typically you'd have, 2 or 3 rows, and then one guy would start chipping. And he'd always leave 2 rows of gray. Let's say he chipped that row and this second row, and then you'd have one gray roll and then another one like being poured, and then he'd be chipping back here, leaving a gap of 1 or 2 rows between the chips and the roller. That way when he cross rolled, he didn't overlap into chips, because you don't want to roll over chips. Look how he's doing that without really, it's not going over. It's got good control. He gauged it pretty well, where he pulled it out just enough he needed without having excessive amounts. That just comes with experience. If you have puddles left over, you don't want to start pushing them back. What you do, you just take another 18 that's dry and you soak it up. So we have another 18 that's ready, or some brags to soak it up. So now our arm is going back to retouch up underneath that wall, because it's already dry. See, he brushed it earlier, but it's been like 4 or 5 minutes at least, and that's trim underneath the walls is already dry. So he's touching it back up again. That way, when it's time to throw chips, it's not just solid gray. Now you're gonna have some spots like that in random places, usually on the sidewalls, but you can touch those up before you clear coat. He's refreshing up the sides, which is nice because if he didn't do that, they wouldn't hold any chips. They would just bounce off because it's already soaked it up. Now we got some bubbling, which is fine. Outgassing. I can see it, and some dry spots, but he's gonna get all that. No, not throwing chips yet because he's got you see all those bubbles? You see all that? If he threw chips on that, it wouldn't stick because that's like, so we need to make sure he's done back rolling it first. Maybe take this gray back there and see if he needs more up there. I don't know. If it looks like this, dry, then you need to pour some of the spots so that he's got enough. It looks like he doesn't have enough. So go give him some poly. No, don't worry about that. He can do that. Just give him some, because I can see back there. It's. Let me get my shoes on. If I got a good pair. All right, so let's see if it's dry. Yeah, this is dry right here. You need some more here, more here. All that outgassing is bubbles, which is heat. Outgassing is just exactly that. It's gas, heat, air, hot air rising. Kind of like when you make oil on a hot skillet, it bubbles. And the more pores you have, the more hot air you're gonna have that's gonna rise. So porous concrete's gonna have more bubbles. So he's just pouring where he needs it, but you know, it looks like he's doing good. He's just filling in. He's gonna come back and pop these when he rolls over. I like the transformation. It looks better with all this coating.
He said to do this part before the chip.
Sorry, the other way. The dark area, yeah. What happens is it just goes into the slab, and there's nothing left on top. So you gotta cross roll, back roll over it, refreshing it up. Because that roller holds 1 quart of polyaspartic. So there's actually a quart in there, and he's unloading it. Once that thing gets dry, he's going to pour a little bit more on the ground if he needs it. You got some major fitting. That's, you know, not good. It's falling, but this is a heavy chip floor, so it should cover all those sins. And I think we need some more. I think we need some more up here. Go ahead and pour some more. What do you think? Is it ready to roll? To throw? Or we need more? Pull some here, kind of drizzle it out, cover that rough. There you go. I don't know, get your mini roller and go through the sides again. Because you can see how it's already. My main concern is getting all the horizontal, the floor. So I'm not worried about the sidewalls, okay? The sidewalls are not going to stick. We've already spent way too much time, which is not a problem. We're just backfilling. So what we're going to do is just get all the floor. We can touch it with sides later with more clear coat, but if we don't just get 100% of the floor, then we have failed. You know, like at least get this right, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to waste your time trying to do anything. No, you don't want to put you need to dip that into the polyaspartic first. You never put a dry roller directly on the floor like that, because you would have just ripped a bunch of hairs out. It's got to be soaked first. You know what I'm saying? You would have just pulled.
So which side should we do?
All the sides. Get the puddles from the sides. I'm not worried about the walls. I just did this side. I just did this side. Get all the sides, like you're gonna go the opposite side of the garage. We just left a good surprise for us right here. Not sure why that happened. So if you unload a big pile of poly on the floor, you want to clean it up. We're just getting the puddles away from the sides. So you don't need to be adding any more floor down. You only did it the first time because you didn't want to touch the floor with a dry roller. You always make sure the roller is wet first, but you don't need to keep dipping, because right now we're just checking the piles of poly along the sides to make sure they're not there. All right, start throwing chips in the back first. Armin?
Can I use that one since there's like a puddle in?
Please start throwing chips now on the back.
Yeah, I was just letting you know that.
No. I'll get it. Just start throwing chips. Why is there a puddle here?
That's what I was saying.
How did I get there?
Because when you had told me to move, because it was a different strip. You know, and then that's when I put it over here. You know,
I don't want it to dry, so I'm gonna have to. No, they got it. That needs to be done first. You don't want to be throwing chips back here because this was rolled last. So what's going to happen is this stuff is drying right now, and every second counts. So you want to get the back first and then work your way to the front. Look how really heavy in the chips. We're going to use them all. And then later, after this dries, we will do the sides. Back I could. And they're just piling them on in excess. This front lip gets missed a lot, so you want to make sure the front inch doesn't have any bleed through. Put it right there. Common thing for some reason, the front little sleuthers. Cool. All right, so we're gonna do the sidewalls later. I mean, we could get back into the spike shoes, but I don't like doing that and doing the sidewalls. You know, you don't want to get cleat marks while it's drying, even if you have clean cleats. When it's like in that almost dry stage, the coating can't come back together. So when the spike hits the coating, it's still wet, it comes back together. But when you walk on it, when it's drying, it just still leaves an open hole. You get cleat marks. All right, so 45 minutes or so, we should be able to scrape this. What we'll do is pull scrapes piles up to the edge. That way the chips are right here and ready to throw. And then we will pull 1 foot back in order to get the loose chips away from the sidewall. And then we'll take clear and clear coat the side and chip. And the chips will be right there with us in front of us as we go. Chip, chip, chip. We'll do that in about 45 minutes from now. Give another half hour. And then we'll, continue. Scrape the floor. Broom the sides in order to get the loose chips off. And clean up. After we scrape thoroughly. Make sure there's no sharp edges on the sides. And then get ready to clear coat after you get all the chips up. Obviously vacuum, get the remaining chips and blow it off several times. You want to blow it off several times, like 5-6 times. You want to pull back this tarp before you blow so that the wind doesn't kick it back. Because if you got a tarp here, it's going to flap when you're blowing, and then it's going to bring chips back. So roll this back, vacuum up these chips that's on the concrete, and then blow it, and then vacuum up the chips, and then blow it, and then vacuum up the chips. And then when you get to the point where there's no chips, you need to blow the sides, blow the edges. Sometimes chips come flying out from underneath that sheetrock. When you get no more chips blowing out and piling up here, then there's no loose chips in here. You can clear coat. If there's any loose chips, you're gonna significantly increase the amount of clear coat you need, because the chips are going to absorb that clear coat and it's going to prevent it from going further, and you're going to waste tons of money just because you didn't blow off all the chips. You're going to waste so much money in clear coat just because you didn't blow it off a few more times. So make sure no loose chips before you clear coat, and no jagged sidewalls. Get the broom and knock those sidewalls down, especially that L in front. You need to make sure you take a scraper, the skinny scraper, and scrape that, because the coating is thicker there. Therefore, the chips will be thicker, and when chips go into thicker coating, they have a tendency to go sideways. They get buoyancy, and they flip up, and then you have these weird-looking chips sticking up. And you got to make sure you scrape it really, really good. Otherwise, the customers will complain, and they're going to say, "It looks like there's no clear coat here." When actually there is clear coat, but the chips are so much sticking out that you see the chip texture and it looks like it wasn't clear coated, versus the floor that has a good amount of clear coat. So when you get the phone calls that say there's no chips, no clear coat on the edges, that's because you did not scrape enough to flatten them out like the rest of the floor. So you can really eliminate complaints and be-backs when you got to be back to fix problems that could have been resolved by simply scraping it with one of these hole scrapers. Let me take see if we got one here. It looks like a 5-in-1. It looks like a 5-in-1 painter's tool. Basically like this, except it's got a threaded handle and it goes on a pole. And it's kind of like that, that's screwed on, and you go around and you scrape those edges.